Well, thank you, Richard Grunder, for those changes from Tampa Bay. And now, without further ado, here is our special guest today, Hall of Fame rider Jorge Velasquez, Hall of Fame person Jorge Velasquez, somebody I've admired. Even when I was a little kid, before I rode races, I admired you, and then learned to admire you even more, George, when I got in the room and got to ride with you.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that, Richie.
Well, you always set such a great example for the younger riders. You always conducted yourself with so much class. And one thing that I always was impressed with, your timing. You would bring a horse late and boom, get there right on time.
Well, see, actually, I was impressed by Braulio Baeza. He was my idol. So I learned to do that when I watched him closely in this country riding. He used to just save horses to the end and boom, come up at the end and just beat you the way he wanted to beat you. So I say, I want to do that too. Right. So I started keep an eye very close on him, and that's what I got it from. And then I learned how to do it, and it worked. It worked out because you save horses for the next race, and you win your race.
Now, George, you started you're from Panama.
Right, correct.
Like Braulio, like Lafitte. What is it something in the water there that makes us great riders from Panama?
Well, I believe it's because it's only one racetrack. And they're always criticizing you. If you don't look good on the horse, they jump all over you in the jacks room. The guys, oh, look at you, you're standing up like a pole. So they give you the business, and you have to get low, and you have to really push hard and whip the right way, and you got to look good on top of the horse. So that is probably why they're forcing you to be good.
Right. But, you know, I want to bring in Ernie Munick, and I apologize, Ernie, for not having you come in earlier. You're somebody who, you know, we were so excited yesterday talking about having you in, and Ernie was telling me about he and his father always watching you and how much they rooted for you. So, Ernie, something you want to ask Georgie?
Do we have a couple of years? That's how many questions? Let me start with this, and then we'll go back and forth, and then I got some detailed questions for you. But the list of fillies and mares that you rode in your career is beyond an all-star lineup of champions. These aren't all of them. Check this out. Of course, Relaxing and Lady's Secret. Our Mims, Desert Vixen, Dearly Precious, Chris Everett, my father's favorite. Proud Delta, we're seeing now with Royal Delta. Devona Dale. Who rode Chuvie once 2 Mile Gold Cup? Who rode Chuvie in the 2 Mile Gold? You got to be kidding me. It's unbelievable. Of all of those, do you have a favorite? What do you remember about these great guys?
That is a tough question to answer because they were so good, all of them. Late Bloomer, remember her? She was awesome. She was awesome. And Lady Secret was like a push button. I mean, Desert Vixen was another one. And I mean, it's hard for me to separate it.
It's hard for you to separate.
But on grass, definitely Late Bloomer.
Late Bloomer on grass. And just a quick follow-up point about Lady Secret. First time you rode her big. First time you rode Relaxing, on the In the Dirt. Bam. Ferenzi, the grade 2. Pleasant Colony, first time. Derby. Aladar, first time. Champagne. Georgian, right to the windows.
Well, you know, it's interesting, all those names you're talking about. You rode for so many of the big outfits, the high-profile outfits. And unfortunately, we didn't bring up any video of fillies. We've got 2 colts, but one that a relationship you had was with Darby Dan Farm and a horse, Proud Truth, that you won the Breeders' Cup Classic right here at Aqueduct, 1985.
Right.
We're going to go to the race, take a look at it. We come back, we'll talk to George about not just Proud Truth, but all those good horses you rode for those big stables.
Okay.
Chief's Crown now emerges from in between horses. Imperial Choice is right there. Gate Dancer is closing boldly on the outside. Proud Truth, he was last down the backstretch. He's taking it to the leader. It's Gate Dancer in front with less than a furlong to run. Proud Truth is right at his neck. Proud Truth on the outside. Gate Dancer is game. Proud Truth ahead. Gate Dancer goes to a driving finish. Proud Truth has won it.
Give him a chance to come back to me.
Well, Georgie, we were just talking about it off camera as we watched the race. Gate Dancer takes the lead with Chris McCarron, and you're riding so cool here. You haven't asked him for his best yet, and explain to the race day viewers why.
Well, I know that Gate Dancer like to pull himself up when the minute he makes the lead. So I don't want to go by him 316 pole, 8 pole, because he's going to come back to me. He might come back to me. So what I did was just time him perfect and get him in the last few jumps. This way I get the lead. I didn't give him a chance to come back and beat me.
And that was your second win of the day. You also had won the juvenile fillies.
The juvenile with
Twilight Ridge.
Twilight Ridge for Mr. Lucas.
Yeah, and you were riding first call a great deal for Wayne at that time.
That's right. We was lucky. I mean, I won many stakes that year for him, 85.
Now, John Beach trained Proud Truth. John Beach also trained, I believe, your favorite horse of all time, Aladar.
That's right.
The rivalry of Affirmed and Aladar, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but how about this photo with you and Mare Cotts? Your beautiful wife there, Margaret, is with you.
Margaret.
And Vic Gilardi, your agent
That's
of
right.
many, many years, almost your whole entire career.
That's right. 23 years we were together. And thanks to him that I got inducted in the Hall of Fame, because he was a workaholic. He was he was there every day, the 24 hours a day. He was amazing. And what is more amazing that he did his work by hand. In those days, there was no, what do you call
iPad.
The iPad or
Computers.
the computers and all the stuff. He had it all figured out in paper. So, and he was like very smart, and he had the charisma and everything else to keep me going and to get me into the big stables and to get me into live horses.
Right. And, well, that's it. I mean, you rode for, think about the stables road, Calumet, Derby Dan, Green Tree. Now, of course, you have to be a great rider to ride first call for great outfits like that. But to have an agent that can kind of keep them separated enough, don't get somebody mad, control the egos that become involved. And Aladar, your favorite horse of all time. And I had the great pleasure of interviewing you and Steve Cawthon this past summer, talking about the Triple Crown. But we've got a race when Aladar got away from Affirmed, and he ran against older horses in the Whitney in 1978.
He loved this race. I know, chills the MiG.
This was
race
about
is unbelievable.
one of the most impressive performances a 3-year-old against older I can ever remember. We're going to watch it, and we're going to talk over it because we don't have the audio to it, but we can watch the race. And, Georgie, it was a good pace this day, and you let him drop back.
Well, see, actually, his best races are when just buy my time with him and make one run with him. But all the races that I'm against Affirmed is galloping in the lead, or he's galloping in second place or so, and the pace is slow, so I have to make a move, and then I get to him, and then they increase the pace, and they go all the way. But in this race, I just let him drop back and hold him together, wait to the 3-8 pole, and when I started asking, he just blew by them like nothing. And if I remember that day, he probably the only time that he changed stride.
I don't think he changed leads. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let's watch that.
Well, let's look at it, because I
12-2.
think if I'm not mistaken, he changed stride that day, and he beat all the horses by 10.
And he came through on the inside, which normally he would make his run towards the outside.
He was a nice horse, Richie. He was a push button. He gave it to you any part of the race. You know?
I remember you saying you'd go to the barn and you would call him from the road. You would say, "Hey, champ," and he would know.
He comes out of the store looking for me, and he can't find me, and he started screaming, and rolling around and kicking. And
Here he comes now. He just moved into the picture, and these are good older horses too. He blew by them like they weren't there.
They went 3/4 and 10.
Yeah, they were rolling the first part.
And I think it's 35 and 2. Well, maybe
Well,
35.
let's see.
And he's staying on his left lead here. But you know, though, George, do you think he was just a lefty? He was a southpaw?
I think it was a southpaw. Yeah, he was, because he had the great exercise rider,
Charlie Rose.
Charlie Rose. Yeah. And how you gonna tell me that Charlie Rose don't teach him how to change?
Yeah, right.
And every time I work him, I make him change, and he change.
Really?
Yeah, and in the afternoon he just forget to change.
Do you think that cost him a race or two? And follow-up question to that, do you think he was better with athletes? Because they took him off for the Belmont, then they kept him off from there. But one, the change in leads affect him, and two, about the
Yeah, well, the change in lead, actually, when a horse changed stride turning for home, he give a little extra. And he never did give me a little extra because he's all out all the time, no matter what lead he is. And he's in the left lead, but he's all out. So he was lefty, I believe. The blinkers, I believe he was the same.
The same. Didn't
With
matter
the
either
blinkers or without the blinkers, it doesn't matter.
You know what I find interesting, George? He ran 1.1 miles that day in 1:47.2. At the time, up to that time, that was the second fastest 1.1 miles ever run in Saratoga, Trijet being the first. Now, Trijet has a connection to you because Fred Hooper is the man who brought you here when you first started.
That's right. That's right. That was back in 1965, Richie. You wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, well, we won.
Yeah, I was one. I was already following racing.
He was one,
Yeah, he's a yearling.
Yes.
He was a yearling.
But you had, in North America, because your statistics, and I went and looked up online earlier today, it says career wins 6,795, which is an unbelievably impressive total anyway. But we were talking off camera, there were actually quite a few more because they didn't count your totals from Panama, from when you rode in Europe. Maybe
I won some more than 300 races in Panama. I won 30 races in France, Germany, Peru, Argentina, Japan, Kuala Lumpur. Every place I went, I was lucky. In Germany, I won. I was lucky that I found myself a winner somehow. And so I guess it's a little over 7,000 races that I won.
It's just an amazing total. It really is. I mean, just, you know, and to think you did it in the major leagues. You didn't do it, you know, in a place where you could rack up 3,000, 4,000 wins. You had to fight for it every day.
That's right. I'm fighting with you when you started riding.
Buddy,
and then fighting with Angel and another.
Oh, that is a whole other conversation that can go on and on and on. First of all, Buddy Delp keeps you on Spectacular Bid. He wins the Triple Crown. That's number one. You rode against Dr. Fager in the United Nations. You were on the champion Fort Marcy. What do you remember about that race? You were on Fort Marcy in the United Nations against Dr. Fager. Is there anything you remember about that race other than, you know, dealing with that great horse?
Not really. I don't recall exactly the race. I don't have the race in my mind.
I'm going to bring that back off camera. Now, here's a question for you. Underrated great filly, Yanks Music. A tremendous horse, Yanks Music. You rode her in all but one start. You know who rode her in the other start?
No.
You're sitting next to her.
Really?
I must have got lucky and picked her up. But, you know, we're going to have to let you go because we're also going to have to head to Tampa to get to live racing. But two things I want to bring up. I mean, obviously the Kentucky Derby had to be a thrill of a lifetime. Pleasant Colony, trained by John Campo, and being inducted in Racing's Hall of Fame in 1990. Maybe just tell us a little bit about that feeling, that emotion, to start out in Panama with a dream and make it all come true.
Yes, well, see, I remember when I first asked my mother to become a jockey. She said, you need like a horse. How come you're going to be a jockey? I didn't know a jockey is supposed to watch the weight and all that. But then when I have Braulio has an idol, and I did not know exactly what I was going into. Now, I say to myself, you know, if I want to be a jockey, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try it best of my ability, and I'm going to work hard for it. So I work hard to get into the Hall of Fame. I work hard, very, very hard, all my career. And I was lucky enough to have Vic Gilardi as an agent. That he was amazing. A great horse like Ali, that was a pleasure to ride. It bring me back so many memories. And Pleasant Colony, 1981, you can't express the feeling. Is outrageous. It's something that you dream about it, and then you come through, and then finally I pass the wire. I won the Derby, and I'm coming back, and tears rolling down my cheek, and I'm like,
can't imagine.
I'm like, wow, man, what I'm doing? I'm crying TV. I have to compose myself. And I can't let people see me crying. I was so satisfied. My career was complete then when I won the Derby. You know, it's something that you can't describe, Richie. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, Georgie, I don't think, even if without a Derby, your career was more than complete. You not only had an impact on the people around you and made the riders around you better. I mean, I always say that. I was so fortunate to start my career with a room full of Hall of Famers, Jorge Velasquez, Angel Cordero, one after another, that if you couldn't learn good habits and pick up how to learn to ride around these guys, then you just had no ability. So for me, even though it was tough competing for the mounts, it made a huge difference. It made me a better person. It made me a better rider. And for that, I can't thank you enough.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, but let me tell you, you was very smart because you asked me a few questions and I answered you. You put in practice what I tried to teach you or what I tried to tell you, and you pick it up soon, very quick, and you become a little bug boy, apprentice rider.
Yeah.
And you was giving us hell, okay? So
That was the greatest jockey colony I've ever seen. And you and Angel topped that colony, and you see a young kid come in like the Mig. Do you remember when he first came in?
yes, of course. How can I forget? He was quiet, polite, you know, and very observant. And he asks questions. He wants to learn. He wants to get better.
He's still like that.
Yeah.
Really. With broadcasting, but he's still the same way. Exactly.
Well, I tell you what, my congratulations, Richie. You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Keep it up. I don't know how you pick it up so quick. You have become such a professional in this business. I mean,
Well,
see what I mean? He's a smart guy. He is. He picks up things like this.
that's enough. This is about you today. I appreciate that, Georgie, and I appreciate you being with us today. And
I hope he comes out. I hope we see him again.
We'll do this again at Belmont.
Please.
Maybe what we'll do at Belmont, we'll try to block out a more time and have you and Angel on together, and we'll really get to telling some stories and laughing. For sure.
Yes.
And you know, one thing about it, talking about racing is easy for me because I love it, and I get to talk to classy individuals like Jorge Velasquez. Georgie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Richie.
Really
Keep it up.
appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Well, now we're going to have to get into live racing. Talk about a reality check. We're going to have to get to live racing, but once again, Georgie, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll be heading
Glad to be here with you.
more
guys.
race day. When we come back, we'll be heading to Tampa Bay Downs.
Each year, millions of fans experience the thrill and drama of New York horse racing. But none of it would be possible without the dedicated workers at the state's breeding farms. This is the real starting line, the place that gets the entire racing industry off and running. The result is the best racing in America.